Okay, we're going to take a brief look at the Labour NEC elections. We've had Deborah Hobson and Naomi Wimborne-Adressian last time, and we've now got Maryam Eslamdoust joining us. Hi, thanks for joining.
Hi everyone, thank you. Tina, how are you doing?
Not bad, thank you. You've been a councillor and a Labour Party staffer, but you've never stood for the NEC before. What do you think when you've been seeing things up, close? What do you think has gone wrong with Labour, and what has led you to stand in this election? I believe you're standing on one particular issue.
Thanks. Yeah, what has gone wrong with Labour? Well, where do I start? I've just seen too many injustices since Keir took over as leader. I was working for the party, first in Jeremy's office and in the team that wrote the 2017 manifesto. And then I moved on to Southside, heading up stakeholders. Kathy Bold, who's here today from Disability Labour, was one of my lovely stakeholders whilst I was there. And I was secretary to the NEC Equalities Committee, so I got to see firsthand some of what they were doing, some of what they weren't doing. Whilst I wasn't involved in the disciplinary processes, I'm just aware of too many people affected by extraordinary and bizarre and cruel disciplinary procedures, things like retrospectively applying prescriptions. So the reason I'm standing for NEC is because what I've seen, and to push for, I guess, transparent internal processes in disciplinary procedures, in internal selections, in elections. And secondly, you mentioned that I was a councillor, I still am till May, in Keir's own constituency, so in Keir Starmer's Camden Labour, to tackle the toxic, misogynistic and Islamophobic culture that's been pushed by so many of the bully boys who've become really confident under Keir's leadership. I was subjected to really horrendous harassment by the chief whip of my local Labour group, Keir Starmer's own council. This man was impersonating a mum of three living in social housing to smear me online. He would encourage media attacks on me online. And this was over a 5-year period, but it really peaked when I was 8.5 months pregnant. I know others who've experienced so much worse. So that's some of the reasons I'm standing, to ensure there are fair and transparent disciplinary processes with strict limits and timelines for completion, proper Islamophobia training and enforcement, inclusivity for disabled people and carers by way of hybrid meetings, and just setting decent policies that resonate with people.
The left won't get a majority on the NEC anytime soon. How do you see your role in a committee that can be, I think, quite hostile to the left?
Yes, it can be hostile, but I think it's not positive to go in with a defeatist attitude. And there's lots of opportunities to, ensure that there are fair practices and procedures in place. Yes, the NEC is factional, but unless we try, we can't really change things. And actually, when Jeremy was leader, lots of right-wingers stayed in the party to change things, and they succeeded. So I also subscribe to that view. You need to stay in the Labour Party, which is still the only real opportunity to ensure socialism in this country.
So what are your concrete plans? What could we do about proscriptions and the retrospective application, which is the most horrific?
Well, like, my default position is that we shouldn't prescribe. And now we've prescribed a few organisations. We shouldn't be applying prescription retrospectively, which is what happened in Pamela Fitzpatrick's case. I would be against that. It goes against natural justice. And with strict time limitations, because there are people whose lives are just completely disrupted by years of being under disciplinary, years have been suspended. So I would ensure that there's time. I'd be campaigning for time limitations on disciplinaries.
There's been a few issues with various slates on there on the left. I mean, there's one with 4, 5, 6, 7. I think there's 4 different slates on the left. Did you know, how worried are you about this kind of division on the left, and how can we overcome it?
Well, it's not ideal to be divided, but I mean, I wasn't subject to any of the conversations that took place, so I won't be able to comment, but it's a shame that the left are divided over slates.
Yeah. Okay, thanks very much for joining us.